Welcome to the WisMissus podcast, reading, writing, and roaming around Wisconsin, the Midwest, and beyond. I'm Valerie Biel here with my co-host, TK Sheffield, who will tell us about herself today.
Good afternoon. I almost messed up immediately. We were just laughing and giggling because we're recording this on a Monday, not a Tuesday. So we have the Mondays.
We do have the Mondays, just a little bit. It's all
We're the
right,
Mondays.
everybody. We're going to get through this.
Yes. So my name is TK Sheffield. I write stories for readers to laugh and escape, and I am delighted to be here with my co-host Val on the podcast for April. So
Yay! April. I don't know how we got to April. And it's an interesting day today. So we're recording this on Monday. You all are going to be seeing this first on Friday. And if you're here in Wisconsin, you know that we've got this like weird, overly warm weather for April, right? It's a little crazy right now. So anyway, we know storms are going to roll in. We'll see if we get through the entire recording before.
right.
I don't know.
Right.
I live a little further. I live a little closer to the storm front than TK does, so we'll see what happens at my house first. we might make it through. Yeah. So it's Monday. It's Monday. I know you've been roaming, and I want to talk about that. But I got to tell you, I'm getting old.
No, you're not.
You know how I know this? I went to a concert that my husband really wanted to go to. Well, we went together on Saturday night down at the Rosemont, which is on
Oh, wow.
the edge of Chicago, down by O'Hare. It was Florence and the Machine. It was a really good concert. I mean, her voice and the musician is just amazing. So, but you leave that at 11, and even though you're not all the way down, like you're not at Soldier Field, you're not down at the United Center, it's still like a 2+ hour drive home, which put us home at like 1 a.m. And then like it's just snowballs from there. Like my Sunday was all messed up, and that sort of like made my Monday morning a little wonky. And I promise I'll get back to normal, but I just realized that like we probably brought like the demographic, like the age range down by like a or up, I should say, whatever, right? Like by a decade at this concert. But so yeah, so that's all the roaming I've been doing. I've really been sticking pretty close to home. But I wanted to ask you about I'm not going to get the title right. You'll have to correct me, but the film symposium,
the Wisconsin Screenwriters Symposium. So while you were partying up at a concert, which good for you. You're in the game and I respect that. I was snug and toasty in my bed at, 8, looking forward to the next day. But it was the Wisconsin Screenwriters Symposium, and I have props.
Oh, look.
The pamphlet that they handed out, and it was tremendous. It was 2.5 days of valuable screenwriting information and just delightful, delightful people. And I have to say, the movie will be linked in the show notes. There's a movie called Bottle Shock, and it is about the California wine industry as it began in the 1970s, late 70s. And how they developed a Chardonnay that went on to, I don't want to spoil it, but this tremendous Chardonnay that went on to shock people. I feel like we're on the cusp of that here in the Midwest for movie making because the industry's changing so fast. And there are so many opportunities that are coming available for people. And here we have this great Wisconsin Screenwriters Symposium. It was $50 for 2.5 days, which was amazing.
Okay, so isn't that amazing? Have we gone to any conference that had that reasonable of a registration fee? I mean, that's crazy great.
Right.
Wow.
Crazy great. There was 2.5 full days. There was a table read of the contest winners. Now, if you enter the contest, of course, that's a little bit more. They also had a tea room run by a Hollywood showrunner. So the week before, if you could apply for that, and then you actually developed an episode of this TV show. And then they came on and talked about it. They had, I just want to emphasize they had a screenwriter who lives in Belleville who has sold scripts, and he worked at Sony, and then he came back to bring his family back here, but he's still submitting and selling scripts. I think he's up to 12 now. And we had Veronica Pope. She brought her experience from, the shows. She's from Mequon, Wisconsin. We had, Noah Jones, Jeffrey Kurtz. I mean, so many delightful people, so many people from Wisconsin who are out there making a living at it and selling shows and bringing back their wisdom. And I can't recommend it highly. Again, the link for it will be in the show notes. And
Hmm.
so consider it, put it on your calendar for next year. And even if you can only go one day, try it out. And the irony, I told you this earlier, the irony is, when you kind of used to be, and I've gone to a number of, not this particular one, but other ones, they would say, "Oh, you're a novelist. Well, you got to start from scratch and learn the art of screenwriting," which is true. But by now, the script has really flipped, and they're saying, screenwriters develop this into a novel. And you learn things like what are verticals and shorts and all kinds of opportunities that you can even take from your novels. Like I'm sitting here
Hmm.
thinking of scenes from the Valentine lines that I could develop into what they call verticals, which are short stories that can be told right here on your phone. And so the industry's changing. This is a great place. It's very affordable and it's convenient for everybody who lives in Wisconsin. So give it a try next year. And it was at the Pyle Center, which is a great place to hold
Hmm.
meetings, and thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyable. So that's the Wisconsin Screenwriters Symposium. If you're in the area, put it on your calendar for next year and consider attending. Even if it's just one day, you'll get a lot out of it.
That's fascinating. And I love to look at the work that you've already created in a different way.
Yes.
To take this, and we talked about that in a different podcast like last year, like how to make the most out of the things that you've already created, to
Mhm.
make sure you're doing all the different formats, of your book. I have never tried to adapt anything I've written, to screenplay, but I'll tell you what I spent the rest of my weekend doing. And this is why I wasn't doing any writing. Um, that's my excuse anyway, why I wasn't. I was listening to the audiobook files from my narrator for book 4 in the Circle of
Oh,
Nine
how
series.
exciting. Oh,
And
congratulations.
this is a new narrator, my narrator that I had gotten for book 3, who took over for the narrator who kind of disappeared on me. She went back to school for like her master's and she's like, didn't have time. So it was a very smooth professional handoff to this narrator. And it was delightful. She's really good. And I'm like, oh, I like this story. I'm like, oh yeah, I wrote this story. Like, you get into
Right.
it. You're like, but it made me start to think more about, cinematic, scenes like if you were to pull it out and, change the format, as you're listening, it makes you realize that it's maybe not as hard. I keep thinking it's a harder process. It may not be, I think I've built up the shift in my mind to be something insurmountable. Like it's not my skill set. But as I was listening to how she performed, the scenes with the different voices, and this is the series that's got all those Irish accents.
Mhm.
I was like, oh man, I just kept thinking how fun it would be to have like the full cast
Well,
and
the multi
stuff.
we
Yeah.
that came up with the symposium, the multicast aspect of having an audiobook read in a side conversation with, that I learned tips about multicast and
Hmm.
how you can actually get that done at an affordable price. Now, I chose to use a live actor for the Valentine lines for my audiobook, and I loved it. He did a tremendous job. But at the same time, that's expensive. And he's worth every penny, don't get me wrong. But, the industry is changing and growing so much that I just think multicast audiobooks are on the horizon, and it's an opportunity for people to try it if that's what they want. So there's places like 11 Labs and
Right.
that can do it again, but that's an individual choice as an author if you chose to go with a live narrator or you're going to experiment and do something like that with a multicast. And another, multicast can cost you $30,000. I mean,
Well, yeah, and there's a number of YA books that have been done that way, and they're brilliant. And even just the dual narration ones, like
yeah,
Boy Girl, I really enjoy listening to those, but I've never taken those on,
yeah.
like for my own books. So,
And this I
oh,
have a
there's so many
single
cool things.
I have a single
Yeah.
single reader for this, but he, there's a god, Apollo is in that book, the Valentine lines, and he gives him an echo. So when Apollo is speaking, he has this very slight echo as a god might.
I love that. I love that. The last thing I have to do is decide on my 5-minute sample.
Oh,
Um,
good. Oh, nice.
and so that's what I was doing just before we started to record. I was listening through, and trying to decide, do I put some of the older style stories in where they're doing their spell casting, or do I keep it all to the modern stuff? Like, what do I want the sample to be? But
Right.
Oh, these are the fun decisions we get to make as
Right.
authors, right?
This is the icing on the proverbial, book cake, if you will.
The book
Yes,
cake.
yes,
Yes, the book cake.
absolutely.
So you have been taking, I thought you had mentioned you were taking a screenwriting class or
I did. I went to the symposium last year, and that's where I met Max Tim of the Story Farm. And so then I took
Mhm.
his class early spring from January to April, and then I developed my screenplay. And now, after you finish with that class, it gets submitted to a reader. You get notes back, and then you do a revision, and then Max reads it. And then, the International Screenwriters Association is a wonderful organization that you can join and get so much experience. You can get your work read, you can, work on development. It's a great opportunity, and that's where I found him. And I'm taking his class again through the summer. And again, it's just going to be developing, learning, formatting, learning
Mhm.
what a treatment is, learning what coverage is, those kinds of terms that you need to know, and then just developing some of my books. I want every single one of my books to be a screenplay and then the reverse as well. So I have two screenplays that need to become novels. And I'm having a blast doing it. I have to say, I wouldn't be doing this if I weren't just having so darn much fun. So,
Right. Exactly. I mean, it's like you wouldn't have taken it on. Like it
yeah,
intrigued you to
it's
begin with, but you're also having fun as you do
right. It's too much work to not
it.
have fun doing it, right? It's just too much work. You're too alone. You question yourself too much. But this is just another way to get your stories out there and get them told. And, if I delight five people, I'm good with that. I'd like to
Yeah,
do
that's a
more,
good
but yeah,
yeah, but it's a good point though. I mean, we don't write for everyone. We know not everyone's going to love what we write.
right. That's the mistake. And I love that the community the people I've met. One other thing, Maggie Ginsberg, when we get to what we're reading, Maggie Ginsberg, this is the first time I've met her in person. She's delightful
Mm.
and sweet. And I have to give a shout out. Hers is my next book to read, Still True. And there'll be a link in the show notes for that one. But I can't wait to read
Uh,
that book written by Maggie. And yeah, that's my next
and
one on my TBR list.
and everyone I know who has read that book has had amazing things to say. They just loved it. They gush over this book. So it's been on my list for
Yeah.
ages. So I haven't read it yet. How
Oh,
fun
good.
though. How fun.
I picked up this. Yes, Madison. Worst of Madison.
So normally,
That was their
those are
April
the
Fool's edition. And I've
the
got,
best of Madison lists. Oh my God, that's
right,
hilarious.
right, right. I picked that up at the hotel and I can't wait to read it. It's hilariously funny. But it was the April Fool's edition. I mean, you gotta hand it to him. So
I
anyway,
love
what are you
that.
reading?
Yes. So I am just starting Sheila Lowe's 10th book in the Claudia Rose Forensic Handwriting series. Is called The Lies Between the Lines.
Yes.
So she's up to book 10 and she asked for beta readers. She's a member of the Blackbird Writers like we are. And so we try to do that as favors, to each other to do the beta read. So I am starting that and I'm excited for it. I mean, up to number 10. Holy cow, right?
Yeah.
Um, but so I was reading, okay, so I, strangely enough, really enjoy dystopian disaster novels.
And I love you for it.
I so ask me about EMPs, and all the electronics, just not working anymore in the world, right? Like the
Yes.
EMPs. So you know, I'm curious, and this would be something people could answer in the comments. If you are reading a book that generally is a very well plotted book and you're invested in the story, if there are, you know, incongruities or disconnection somewhere,
Not New
do you
York.
give up
Yeah.
on it? Do you quit reading it? Do you get pissed off and just quit reading the book? So let me let me explain the things that happened in this book that I overlooked and I kept reading. But it annoyed me that enough that I'm obviously talking about it today. So I won't say the name of this author. It doesn't really matter. It's the stuff that we expect. I think we wouldn't expect ourselves to fix. We wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't be happy if someone were to point out this kind of thing. So in this particular story, it's one of those electromagnetic pulse things, the EMPs, whatever. So the grandmother is like former CIA, and she like lives on a compound now, and she's like a prepper because she knows too much about the world, right? Having worked in all these different countries undercover. And she is babysitting the two grandkids, a 13-year-old girl glued to her cell phone and an 11-year-old grandson. And she decides to take them down out of the Smoky Mountains from the compound for the day to go to the Knoxville Zoo. Of course, this is when the EMP hits. Is they're in the middle of Knoxville and she's got to get them out. And she drives an old like 1978 beater truck that doesn't have electronics so she can get home. So this is all fine and good. But as they're leaving this cabin, she like kind of waves to like the dog that's sitting on the porch, right? And I was worried about this dog.
Yeah.
This dog got left alone and it takes everybody days and days and days to get back. Like the parents are in North Carolina at a resort and, like whatever. Right. So I'm like, oh, this poor dog. Well, at least he's outside, I'm thinking, because, then he can fend for himself. He can get water, whatever. He's not tied up, he's like loose. So you get back to when people start coming back to this cabin and he's stuck in the utility room, but the author had left him on the porch. Okay. I'm like, come on.
Was this indie or was it trad published?
Indie.
Okay.
Which also makes me a little irritated because being an indie author, I expect better of indie authors. Like someone should have, you should always, and I feel like this was probably a rush to publication, like get it out, whatever. You got to take the time to reflect and have somebody else read through it. And those are the kind of things, I mean, did I keep reading to the end? I did, but I almost didn't because I was like, come on.
Yeah.
Right?
You want the indie, you want all books to be good quality. Let's just put it that way. And
so,
yeah. Oh,
I'm just curious. I'm curious if our listeners, readers, what our listeners or watchers, I should say, if answering the questions, if you ran into those types of mistakes in a book, would you quit reading or would you keep going? Would you overlook it if the book otherwise had really good character development and plot line?
Right. I probably would. And I have seen those kinds of errors in traditionally published books. I have. So, and I won't name them. I have seen significant errors in them. And if I love the book and I'm engrossed in the story, I'm going to keep going. I really am because I just will, but the dog thing, I would be worried about the dog.
I know it's dumb. I'm seeing these. Okay, the main characters are facing all kinds of really bad things because it's cold. It's January. They're hiking at this point, whatever. And I'm just worried about the poor dog that got left, home. So yeah. Anyway, so that's what I was reading. But now I'm looking forward to Sheila's book, which I know will be way better than this book I just finished. So, how about you? I know you're looking forward to Maggie Ginsberg's book, but what have you been reading?
I just finished Ken Humphrey's book. Sorry, I don't have it with me. I just finished his Breakfast Jury. And I believe I also am on Sheila's advanced reader list for that one. And so I've got Maggie's book and I've got just finished Ken's and then I've got the Sheila's book too.
Great. Excellent. So I assume you've mainly just been writing screenplay type stuff, right?
I have been writing screenplay, drafts, and I will this year, the Valentine's in July, hopefully will be coming out, and then I'm going to be revising this screenplay. So that, it's a full year, and I made it just this year. I just decided I had to pull back. I was feeling overextended and I was feeling tired. And I just feel like, and we're going to have to stick close to home here in the next couple of months because we've got a medical thing going on that will be just fine. But I just feel like I have to stick close to home. And so I just feel like it's a time to, it's already April. 4 months have gone by already. It's going to be June and that's half the year already. So I just feel like I want to just enjoy every single day and just take my time now and slow things down a little bit. So.
Well, and I think we live in a world, particularly when we talk about our book marketing, where we feel like, there's expectations on the volume of content we produce on social media. And I've been really appreciating Dan Blank's advice lately, and I'll link to Dan. Yes. I'm going to make a note of that to link to Dan because he really focuses on authenticity in your presence online. And that you share and build share with and build an audience that makes sense for your style, your type of work. And really, it's all about authenticity, which I think gives us so much permission. Maybe it's permission. I was going to say, freedom, but I think it's really more like permission to really look at what we're doing and decide if it's fulfilling or not. And I hadn't really talked about TikTok, and I've not done a good job really on incorporating TikTok into my typical posts, because I'm so used to just the Instagram, Facebook, and then my newsletters out. And that's our main topic today is email subscriber lists and newsletters. I mean, I kind of like it over there. I haven't fully embraced it yet.
Yeah.
But I did have a question for you about TikTok. Are you on a professional account, a business account, or are you still on like a regular, like,
That's a
person
good question.
account?
I think I'm a creator account. Do they have such things at TikTok?
Well, I know that they do on the other sites like Facebook. I think it's called a creator account. Instagram's creator too.
That's a good question. I don't, you know what? I don't even know.
So anyway, I'm kind of looking into, the pros and cons of that, because there's certain things you can do with links if you're on the business account. So to be honest, I mean, if this was my TikTok update, I've kind of failed miserably in putting things out on TikTok.
I'm failing at my email. So that's why we're here, is because of the, email tips. And you're the lead on this, because like you with
fine.
TikTok, I'm like, oh, I really need to dial in at my email. So,
well, this
anyway,
meshes. Yeah, this is a good segue right into our main topic then. So we talk a lot with authors about having email subscriber lists. And sometimes authors are like, oh, you'll be at a conference and they'll say, do I really need to put that subscriber thing on my website? Oh, I don't like that. I don't like bugging people for their emails and whatever. But there's a whole reason behind it, which is if you have the emails of fans of your work, and you communicate with them regularly, that audience you control. Like if TikTok changes their rules or gets shut down or gets sold or, whatever. I mean, but as rules have changed, how long have we been on social media, starting with like whatever, but Facebook rules have changed through the years, and you don't own the audience there. You don't own access to the audience that you probably spent a lot of hours building on these social media platforms. And not that you shouldn't do that. You should do that, to the extent that it works for your work and your life. But that email subscriber list is gold, and everyone should be pursuing that. Did you always have a subscriber thing? Like, sign up?
Website?
Uh-huh.
Yes, I have one on my website. But and you're so good at this. You're so, number one, there'll be a link to Jane Friedman's updated tips about emails. So that'll be in the show notes. And so go check that out. And one of the things, and I also have other notes that I found, and one of the things is consistency. And you're so good about your your monthly writers forum. And your audience is for writers. It says it right in the title, Writers Forum. And it's one of the first, as soon as I see that, I open it up and read it. And you always have these great links to articles. And you can just, it's a master class in how to produce an email for a targeted audience with great information. And you're consistent about it. And that's what I would like to be able to do. Differentiate my audience between readers and the writers, and then making sure that I'm consistent. So that's what I'm being held. This is it. This is the day I'm being held accountable for my email.
Well, it was a couple of weeks ago was my anniversary, my blog anniversary. And I went back and I had to see, like, when did I put the first blog out? And I thought it was 2014. It wasn't. It was 2013. And back then I was super inconsistent. They were kind of ugly. The format was ugly. And those are all like back in an archive now. I only pulled a handful of the really old ones forward into my Substack now. But it's an interesting thing. I wasn't consistent. So I wasn't following those good rules about staying consistent. And I tell authors, like, because it feels burdensome. I don't have the time to do one of these every week. You don't have to do it every week. You do not. Is it monthly? I know some authors do it quarterly. And if that works for you and you're only communicating to fans about what's going on in your writing world, that's fine. That's fine. But just so everybody knows, what that is going to be, like, they're not going to be wondering, well, I thought I signed up for this newsletter and I haven't seen anything yet.
I think I started blogging for you in 2017, I think. Remember?
Yes.
Thank
Yes, because we used to do the guest blogging. And I'd say, what do you do? You would
Yes,
do one a month. You would do one a month
I
on
do.
a writerly topic.
See, when
Um,
I have a deadline, when I know somebody needs something from me and I have a deadline, then I'll do it. And I need to be
I,
my own advocate there.
I'm way better at that too when I have a deadline. So I shifted around and I used to do Tuesdays and I did Wednesdays for a while. And then I realized like with my workload, I really took a step back and I kind of can credit Dan Blank for this too, looking at the different things that I was trying to do, which ones served a good purpose, which ones were just kind of like extra that really I didn't like doing or whatever. But I front load my week with client work. And
Oh,
so it makes more sense for me to have a Friday morning like newsletter come out.
you
Yeah.
break it up beautifully too. You use beautiful use of headlines. So you can kind of scan it first, and then you can go
Mhm.
read the chunk that might apply to what you're doing. And then at the end, you include the links to those valuable articles, and they're
Mhm.
highlighted. So it's just super easy to navigate, is what I'm saying. And I just love the format that you use when you produce your emails. I just really respect that because I know how much hard it's kind of plunky work, right? You have to go in and highlight it and add your links and just takes a little bit of time in addition to the text, and you do a nice job with that.
One of the criticisms of Substack is that you can't do a lot of fancy stuff like you might be able to do in a MailerLite template or a MailChimp template. I actually kind of like it. I like
Mhm.
the simplicity of just the single white background and the headlines. And you can do some color scheme stuff, but mostly the text is just black, just simple things like bullets. You can do dividers, and different stuff, but
Right,
it's not overly formatted, which means you don't have to spend a lot of time creating
right.
this
And
document.
I agree with you. I don't need, a lot of, I don't need that. I just appreciate the content. I have a question for you. Now, when somebody signs up for your email list, do they get, a downloadable something, something, a little PDF or
They
something?
do.
Okay.
They do. They do. So this is called a lead
Yeah.
magnet, right? Because I do two things with my writing, and this gets probably a little confusing for people, but I try to walk them through it. If you're over on my Substack with me as a fan, a fan of my writing, but of authors generally and of reading, then you want my regular newsletter, which is where you'll see this podcast. You'll see my book reviews or other author interviews, that kind of stuff. And then you also have my whole writer author group stuff, like the helpful tidbits and advice, and the writers forum is part of that. So I have two choices for the
Okay.
magnet. You can pick from a guide that allows, like I forget even which ones I rotate different ones in, but
Okay.
it's like I think it's an editing guide or it's like tools for the beginning writer. Like you can pick one of those, or it's a prequel to this series. That's what you get. And I probably need to refresh those now that we talk about this today.
Okay.
And there's other places where you can put, the links for this stuff so that, depending upon which type of person that you're trying to draw in. Is it a fan? Most of the people watching us or listening to us are probably authors who just need a fan way to draw fans into their list
Okay.
so that when
And
they
then
have a new book coming out. Yeah.
do you have a welcome sequence? So do you have, does Substack allow you to do, okay, welcome, you get your downloadable, PDF of something, and then do you follow up again in a day or two or three with a sequence kind of orienting someone to your site?
No. And that is the con of Substack. If
Okay.
you have a sophisticated mailer sequence, or if you want to divide your subscriber list into groups or segments based on habits that they have or what series they subscribe through, things like that, if you're a multi-series writer or multi-book writer, Substack's not going to be friendly that way. It's really one big list,
Okay.
and you can have different publications that a subscriber could turn on or off. You can toggle things on or off, but it's all over on the subscribers, dashboard. Like I can't turn them on and off. So that would be something if you guys are starting out and you're like, do I use MailerLite? Do I use MailChimp? How do I handle getting a subscriber list and then presenting a newsletter out? If you want to do some neat things with segmentation or groups, you do not want to be over in Substack. It's going to drive you insane to try to make that happen on Substack.
Okay.
Um,
I haven't, I don't, I have so many emails. I don't need the welcome. If I've subscribed to you, I'm going to pay attention and open it. I don't need more prompts. That's my thinking. But I know for some people, I've gotten it. You're getting an email every single day with, oh, here's if you want to know more about writing fiction, if you want to know more about writing romance, if you want to, they'll keep peppering you with those. So I understand the point of them.
yeah, and I think we all there's a bit of an overwhelm with some of those sequences, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's what I feel like.
yeah. So here was an interesting thing that came through BookFunnel blog. And
Oh,
BookFunnel is a place that, if you don't know what that is, it's you can subscribe to BookFunnel, and then they can provide uh, downloadable EPUBs or PDF files to people who subscribe. They can be the provider of the reader magnet. Now, MailerLite can do this, MailChimp can do this, and clearly, like I just said, Substack can do this too. It's not like you have to have BookFunnel to provide the sequencing. However, this is really interesting. So they give 5 types of reader magnets, like the free for the different types of people. The free sample, which is something that is for people who don't know anything about your writing yet. The short prequel, that's the one I'm using. That's mainly your primary, list builder for people who you're trying to get them into reading your books. Bonus chapters, um, feedback where you're asking people who maybe are on a review team or something. So like this would be where you're segmenting people out. Like Street Team has a special code and I only email them certain things, or like the super fans, right? So I thought this was interesting, and I'll link to this article. I'm going to put this one in my writer's forum at the end of the month too, because I never really thought about it this way, is that not even if all you're doing is trying to draw fans to your list, every fan is at a different stage of knowledge base, like about you. And so, I mean, an extra bonus scene from a book they've not read isn't going to be very helpful to somebody who's new to your writing. So I thought that was kind of fascinating. We probably should back up just a smidge about where these subscriber boxes are. Like we've all seen them. Sign up here for this thing. Put your, you don't usually put your name in. An email usually suffices. I'm sure you've got that. Like but do you have it pop up on your website? The floating boxes?
That's what I need to probably develop.
So a lot of people hate those pop-ups. And if you're not familiar with this, when you have one of those on your website, they don't pop up for everyone because you can set the parameters. Like if this person is a new visitor to your site, they'll pop up. But if they're a repeat visitor, you can set like if they've visited in the last 60 days, it doesn't pop up, or 30 days. Like there's timings on that. And I really do hate them too, but they actually work really, really well, the pop-up things. Mine is just in my my footer on my website. And then of course, if you go over to my Substack, the thing pops up.
Is that a plugin or is that on
Substack? No, I just take the Substack like code. I take the Substack info, and the same thing with MailerLite or MailChimp. You can take the coding, you can take a link, or you can take the actual coding and it creates a little box and you can create the width of it, depend upon what your use is. But there's different options. There's different options for that. When I'm out and about, I ask people to sign up when I'm at an event, and I still do some old school signups, with a paper sign up. I have a QR code too, if people prefer to just use their phones quick and do a, sign up that way.
At events, it's pretty standard to have. There must be an easier way to capture them, though. I'm sure there's some new tech that captures them. But you just have the sign up list and you do a giveaway for a bookstore gift card or something, just to build your list. And then I'll just read a few of Jane Friedman's.
Oh yeah, what is she saying?
She revised this for 2025. So and I love what she says. Jane is so good. Decide on your frequency, TK, in parentheses, and stick with it. And she said it's okay. And this is the beauty. She said it's okay if your emails are short and sweet. Don't worry about it. Seth Godin, his emails are sometimes 2 sentences, and it's every single day, right? But they're so informative, and it's just this nugget of wisdom. Be specific and honest about what people are signing up for. Again, that's know your audience. So if your audience is readers, what do they want? If it's other writers, what are they seeking? So know your audience and just be honest about what they're going to get. Little things you can include, like behind the scenes, you can include new content, a list of where you're going to be, an event list. You can do some informal writing. Like I wrote one in my Substack about how much horses affected my writing. I didn't even know it until I wrote it. And there it's just the subconscious affection for horses, and they always somewhere show up in my books. And I put that in a in a Substack post. So it's ways to develop yourself as a writer that maybe you don't even know.
I think that's fun. And I like to include, like, if I've been at an event, I like to include a summary of the event with a picture. I do include some personal stuff. Like, I mean, so my main, title here is reading, writing, and roaming, right? So I do include some stories from traveling. I include like a funny thing happened stories, or I made a big mistake. I still think that the most read newsletter I ever put out was my big Facebook ad mistake where I forgot to set an end date. I still think that one got the most news. Everybody wants to know when somebody screws up. Like if you're
Right.
willing to admit your screw ups, which of course we all do stupid stuff
Right.
when we think we know what we're doing. And then, I just laugh at that one. I think it's funny that one may still be the all-time winner on
We
it.
all love a good blooper, don't we? Speaking, throwing it back to the Screenwriter Symposium, we all love the good blooper reel.
So I think, I mean, really, it's really be yourself and do what makes sense for your work. And people are like, well, I don't want to ask people to buy my book all the time. That's not what this is about. This is about people maybe getting a little bit of extra info. Maybe you write one book a year and you're like, well, I don't have anything new to say, but you're already working on the next book. So you could be like, okay, guys, I just started to research my next book.
Right.
And if these people are fans of your work, give them little tidbits. You don't have to give everything away, but give them a little insider info because they gave you their email, to communicate. But if they're going to hang with you, you want to be able to give them a little special treat for, being part of your
Right.
crew.
And
Um,
usually writers are so, we love to usually do research. We're interesting, colorful, intriguing people. I challenge you to go to a writing event and be bored. Just reach
oh
out and ask
yeah.
somebody, what are you writing? What are you doing? How are you marketing? Why'd you come up with that title? Tell me about why you set that book in Wisconsin. There's so much to talk about. And you can, again, keep it short and you can put that in your email list. Look, I was talking to a writer at a conference and here's what they said about setting their book in New Glarus. It was so much, for example,
Yeah.
at this conference, I could write probably I could deconstruct the entire conference and have probably a good 6 months worth of content from everything the people that I talked, their great ideas.
Mm.
So many, there's a pitch session at the end, and so many of them pitched movies set in Wisconsin. It was really, really fun to hear. And I was amazed at the creativity and the innovation and stuff. And it's just fascinating. Again, if you're at a writing conference, that's so much information to put in your email newsletter. So,
Well, and these folks, this audience can be an asset to you. Say you're
right,
trying to figure out, you can't decide about your next cover and you've got three options.
right,
You are going to get a ton of votes. You will get good feedback. And if these people are fans of your work, which they clearly should be if they're on your newsletter list, they're going to be happy to reply. Or, maybe you've got a conundrum about something, but you don't want to, like, without giving away plot lines, ask ask what they want to see. Or maybe you're a few books deep into a series, ask them what they want to see happen in the characters' personal lives next or something. There's all kinds of neat things you can do. And the other thing too is do not forget to put the sign up thing at the end of your books, particularly your ebooks. Make sure that you've got the easy link to go sign up for things. Now, I am in awe, and I know I should have done this. I have this list of all the housekeeping that my books need. There's not a lot checked off on this list, but one of those things is that for each particular book, I do have deleted scenes and things like that. So one way to capture fans right away, they're at the end of that story, is if you want to know a little bit more, you want extended scenes, click here, you have to put your email address in, and then you email them out, these extended scenes. I'm a sucker for the 5 year later, epilogue, the
Right?
mega epilogue. Like, I'm reading a romance novel. I want to know what happens to these people. Do they actually stay together? Do they have kids? Like, right? I mean,
Right.
I'm always like, I want to know more, because especially that you want to capture that feeling where people are a little sad, maybe that the story's ended and they want to keep going.
Right.
So that's really good real estate at the end of a book to say, do you want to know more? Click here, put your email in.
Such a good
And
point. There's so many good books that I've loved, and you move into that world and you live in that world while you're reading it, and you're delighted by it, and you want to spend more time in it. So the chance to have a little bit more is a great idea.
it is. And there's always stuff that you've deleted. And even if all you're doing is you're writing a little bit of an extended scene, just because they're fun to write, like, you've chosen where you're going to end the book. But like, couldn't we all write a like 6 month later little scene, or do like sometimes there's a holiday scene, like Christmas on the, whatever.
Exactly. Exactly.
uh, so those are, and those fans then are truly people who love your writing. More and more, I am seeing articles about the email list being their key marketing effort for a new book coming out. And they sometimes give them early access, especially if they sell books themselves, like on their website, or special. Maybe they get a sneak preview of the first chapter when you're real close, to the book coming out.
I've seen
Um,
promo codes. You'll get some publishers will give out promo codes and they can get early
mhm.
access, or they get it, a discount, 10%, 25% off. So yeah, you're right. There's a lot of ways to use that to promote that upcoming title.
You can't probably operate as effectively as you should as an author, whether you're traditionally published or indie published, without pursuing this email list.
Right.
It sounds harder than it is, and you don't have to start with a complicated system at all. You just don't.
Huh.
And even if you just say, okay, all I can manage right now, maybe you've got a day job and you're trying to write at night and market and all this stuff. Maybe it's just once a quarter, but it's not as hard as it sounds. I think it's just like anything. It seems bigger until you get going with it. And then you're like, oh, why did I wait so long to do this? This isn't as hard as I thought it would be.
Oh, see,
So
I knew
there.
this would be a great episode to motivate me. That I knew it. And a couple other little, from my list, treat it like a long-term relationship,
Yeah.
and grow your list organically and collaboratively. And that just speaks to what we just talked about, which is connected events, author events or conferences, reach out, share the wealth, share the knowledge, and make friends, and I think it's really important to take your time with it. I really, really do, and understand
Mhm.
why you're doing this as an author, because it's a long climb. It's the play the long game on this one, because it can be lonely and frustrating. And if you're really in it to win it, and that is to just share your entertainment with, delightful readers, right? That's what we're here for. Then you're going to try and you just give it a try, make the effort and do it and see what happens. You never know.
And we'll put all these different links in below the video, so that you can click on through. We'll try to make it as easy as possible. If you get stuck, though, ask us questions.
Yeah.
Go back to those comments and ask questions, and we will be sure to answer. And if we don't have the answer, we'll find somebody who does. So we're happy to help. We are happy to help. Yeah.
Sounds good. And we'll be back next month, right? Not on a Monday, probably.
Yes. Not on a Monday. We did okay. We did okay. So, but we will be back next month. And I cannot believe we're in April, but we will see everybody in May. Crazy to say that. But yes, it'll be May next time. Thanks, everybody.